Nyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing to read from Canto 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3. Does anyone remember what we read yesterday?
Hare Krishna. We read that
Hare
how Gajendra was only calling out to the Supreme Lord, though he did not know him, but then he knew that there is the Creator who created this world, and then he called out, and then none of the demigods um came. They all knew, but then they did not come, and because they know that he was calling out to the Supreme Lord, and then this proves that if we just pray to Krishna, then all the demigods are satisfied. And so, yes, he called out to Krishna.
Yeah. So by praying to Krishna, we are in fact worshipping all the demigods.
Demigod,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. So then we are going to text 31. Tam tadvad artam upalabhya jagannivasaha
Tam tad tad artham uplabhya jagat nivasa.
stotram nishamyad vijahe saha samstuvad bihi
Stotram nishmay dvijah sah samstutibadhi.
chandomayena garudena samuyamanas
Chandomayena garudena samuhamanam.
chakrayudo vyagamat ashu yato gajendraha.
Chakrayudho bhayagamadashu yato gajendraha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After understanding the awkward condition of Gajendra, who had offered his prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who lives everywhere, appeared with the demigods who were offering prayers to him. Carrying his disc and other weapons, he appeared there on the back of his carrier, Garuda, with great speed, according to his desire. And thus he appeared before Gajendra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically hints that since Gajendra was in such a difficult position and was praying for the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods, who could have immediately gone to his rescue, hesitated to go there. Since they considered Gajendra's prayer to be directed toward the Lord, they felt offended, and this in itself was offensive. Consequently, when the Lord went there, they also went and offered prayers to the Lord so that their offense might be excused. So here we are hearing another perspective. So we read yesterday that the demigods they knew that Gajendra was praying to the Lord, so they didn't go. And by satisfying the Supreme Lord, even the demigods are satisfied because they're parts and parcels of the Lord. So here now, the Lord has come because Gajendra was calling out to the Lord. He was in so much distress. He was calling out to the Lord. He didn't know who he is, but he was praying to God, understanding that there is one supreme person who is even the master of the demigods. So at that time, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is saying that the demigods got offended because Gajendra was praying to the Supreme Lord. And they got offended, and this is offensive of them, that they shouldn't have gotten offended actually. And then to rectify their offense, they also went along. When the Lord has gone, they also went and they are offering their prayers to the Lord now, so that the Lord excuses them. So is that okay? Is that clear? Any any comments? No? Okay. So we go
So,
on.
Hare Krishna, Shilpaji. So, what they're just trying to say is that when Gajendra was calling to Hari, so then all the other demigods got offended,
Yeah. This is
right? They
another
felt there
commentary
was,
by Vishwanath
yeah, another
Chakravarti
commentary by
Thakur.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
they felt
But then they just
offended.
rectified, as you said.
Yeah. So they are also praying to Krishna now. Now they are praying to Lord Vishnu
Okay.
because they understood, okay, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. It's offensive for us to
Mm,
feel offended. We shouldn't have
mm,
felt offended. So now they are offering prayers to Lord Vishnu. They're coming
okay,
together with him and offering prayers to him.
okay.
Okay. Swanta sarasi urubalena grihita arto.
So,
Sohamsa
antasarsi
sarsi uhaleno grihatotarto
Drishtva garutmati harim kha upata chakram.
दृष्ट्वा
drishtva garumati
गरुमति
harim kha upata
हरिपाठचक्रम्
chakram
Utship utsik utkishipya sambhujakaram gira maha krichran.
उत्क्षिप्य
utshipya shambhuja karam
करं
kirimaha krichar
महाकृच्छात्
Narayana Khila Guru Bhagavan Namaste.
narayana khila
नारायणाखिल
guru
गुरु भगवन्
bhagwan
नमस्ते.
namaste.
Gajendra had been forcefully captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw that Narayan, wielding his disc, was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk and with great difficulty, due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words: O my Lord, Narayan, Master of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. The king of the elephants was so very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead that when he saw the Lord coming in the sky with great pain and in a feeble voice, he offered respect to the Lord. So here, Gajendra has been caught by the crocodile for 1,000 years. He's been fighting. He's become weak now. He has a lot of pain, but he's so eager. He's seeing the Lord and he's eager. So he take, picks up a lotus flower and is offering his obeisances to the Supreme Lord. A devotee does not consider a dangerous position to be dangerous, for in such a dangerous position, he can fervently pray to the Lord in great ecstasy. So, does anyone remember any devotee? Any devotee who was always in danger but didn't think it's a dangerous position and was always praying to the Lord?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Rajya.
Prahlad Maharaj. Yes, very good. Prahlad Maharaj. And I'm sorry, did you say something, Neha? I couldn't hear.
No, I said the Prahlad Maharaj only. Yeah, the
I
first
Prahlad
thing came.
Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, yeah. And Kunti Devi, I can think of Kunti Devi. She was saying, I
Mm,
wish that all these sufferings come to us again and again because you are with us. Whenever we were in trouble, we were praying to you, you were always with us. So, yeah, that's a devotee. Thus, a devotee regards danger as a good opportunity. Tatenu kampam susamikshamana. When a devotee is in great danger, he sees that danger to be the great mercy of the Lord because it is an opportunity to think of the Lord very sincerely and with undiverted attention. So what we do, the opposite. We are in danger, we may start fighting with the Lord. Why are you putting this trouble to me? All because of you. I am so good. You're putting me in trouble. But the devotee is always saying to the Lord, my dear Lord, it's only because of me. I would have suffered more because of what I have done. But you are so kind. You're making my suffering so less. You're just giving me a token of the suffering. Tatenu kampam susamakshamana. So the devotee, he takes every opportunity, especially when danger comes, he takes it as an opportunity to remember the Lord with greater surrender. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 8. He does not accuse the Supreme Personality of Godhead for having let his devotee fall into such a dangerous condition. Rather, he considers that dangerous condition to be due to his past misdeeds and takes it as an opportunity to pray to the Lord and offer thanks for having been given such an opportunity. So Gajendra is feeling grateful that he's able to offer these prayers. He's grateful that the Lord has come. He's not saying, oh, why you put me in elephant body? Why you put me like this, like that? I was such a good devotee. You did that to me. No, he's with heart, with a humble heart. He's offering prayers to the Lord, and he's very happy now that the Lord has come. When a devotee lives in this way, his salvation, his going back home, back to Godhead, is guaranteed. We can see this to be true from the example of Gajendra, who anxiously prayed to the Lord and thus received an immediate chance to return home back to Godhead. So that is how a devotee sees. The devotee, it's not that the sufferings don't come in a devotee's life. They come, but the devotee, he surrendered to the Lord. He keeps praying that, yes, it's due to my past misdeeds. I would have suffered more, but my dear Krishna, you're so kind. You're taking away most of my suffering. You're just giving me a little bit of suffering. And then to such a devotee, liberation becomes his rightful claim. He's guaranteed to go back home, back to Godhead. Tam vikshya piditam aja sahasvatirya
Tam
Samvikshya
vikshaya
pitam aja sahasvastirya
sagraham ashu sarasah kripayo jahara.
sasagra
sagraham
ashu
ashu
sarat kripa
sahasvastirya
yujjahara
Grahat vipatita mukhad arina Gajendram
grahat
rahat
vipatita
vipati mukhat
mukhod
arina
arim
gajendram
gajendram
sampashyatam harir amu muchat uchriyanam.
sampashyatam
Ramapushatam
hari
harir amut muchyata uchariyanam.
uchyayanam.
Thereafter, seeing Gajendra in such an aggrieved position, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, immediately got down from the back of Garuda by his causeless mercy and pulled the king of the elephants along with the crocodile out of the water. Then, in the presence of all the demigods who were looking on, the Lord severed the crocodile's mouth from its body with his disc. In this way, he saved Gajendra, the king of the elephants. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 3rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. So the Lord immediately has come and then he's pulled out Gajendra. So the crocodile was holding on to Gajendra's legs. So the crocodile also came out and the Lord, he's with his chakra, he's cut out the crocodile's mouth. Okay, now we're going to read further what happens in the next chapter. Chapter 4, Gajendra returns to the spiritual world. And that's why you were saying this chapter is almost ending. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this 4th chapter describes the previous birth of Gajendra and the crocodile. It tells how the crocodile became a Gandharva and how Gajendra became an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There was a king on the Gandharva planet whose name was Huhu. Once this king Huhu was enjoying with women in the water, and while enjoying, he pulled the leg of Devala Rishi, who was also taking a bath in the water. Upon this, the sage became very angry and immediately cursed him to become a crocodile. King Huhu was very sorry when cursed in that way, and he begged pardon from the sage, who in compassion gave him the benediction that he would be freed when Gajendra was delivered by the personality of Godhead. Thus, the crocodile was delivered when killed by Narayan. When Gajendra, by the mercy of the Lord, became one of the Lord's associates in Vaikuntha, he got 4 hands. This achievement is called Sarupya Mukti, or the liberation of receiving a spiritual body exactly like that of Narayan. Gajendra, in his previous birth, had been a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. His name was Indradyumna, and he was the king of the Tamil country. Following the Vedic principles, this king retired from family life and constructed a small cottage in the Malayachal hills, where he always worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead in silence. Agastya Rishi, along with many disciples, once approached King Indradyumna's ashram. But because the king was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not receive Agastya Rishi properly. Thus the Rishi became very angry and cursed the king to become a dull elephant. In accordance with this curse, the king was born as an elephant, and he forgot all about his previous activities in devotional service. Nonetheless, in his birth as an elephant, when he was dangerously attacked by the crocodile, he remembered his past life in devotional service and remembered a prayer he had learned in that life. Because of this prayer, he again received the mercy of the Lord. Thus, he was immediately delivered and he became one of the Lord's 4-handed associates. Sukadev Goswami ends this chapter by describing the good fortune of the elephant. Sukadev Goswami says that by hearing the narration of Gajendra's deliverance, one can also get the opportunity to be delivered. Sukadev Goswami vividly describes this, and thus the chapter ends. So now we'll go into the text. Text 1, Shri Shukavacha
Shri Shukha Uvacha
Tada Devarshi Gandharva
Tatha Devarishi Gandharva
Brahmeshana Purogamaha
Brahmeshana Purogamaha
Mumuchu Kusumasaram
Mumuchaha Kusum Asaram
Shamsanta Karma Tadharehe.
Samshan Samsan Samshanta Karma Tathare.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, when the Lord delivered Gajendra, king of the elephants, all the demigods, sages, and Gandharvas, headed by Brahma and Shiva, praised this activity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and showered flowers upon both the Lord and Gajendra. So we can see that all the demigods were praising the Lord. They were happy that the Lord has delivered Gajendra, and they were showering both the Lord and Gajendra with flowers. The Lord Brahma is there, Lord Shiva is there, the Gandharvas are there, the sages are there. So such great personalities are there. And they're all praising the Lord, that how he has saved Gajendra. It is evident from this chapter that great sages like Devala Rishi, Narad Muni, and Agastya Muni will sometimes curse someone. The curse of such a personality, however, is in fact a benediction. Both the crocodile, who had been a Gandharva in his previous life, and Gajendra, who had been a king named Indradyumna, were cursed, but both of them benefited. Indradyumna, in his birth as an elephant, attained salvation and became a became a personal associate of the Lord in Vaikuntha, and the crocodile regained his status as a Gandharva. We find evidence in many places that the curse of a great saint or devotee is not a curse but a benediction. So here Prabhupada is explaining that Gajendra in previous life was King Indradyumna and he was cursed. So someone may say, oh, well, he's cursed, so that's a bad thing. But being cursed by the great devotees is not a curse because now in his body as Gajendra, now he's seen the Lord face to face and he's gotten liberation. He's gotten Sarupya Mukti. He has gotten a four-armed form, same like the Lord. So although he was cursed to become an elephant, it's actually a benediction in disguise. It's actually a benediction because just in one life, he's now become, he's able to see the Lord and he's gotten liberated. And for the crocodile, he was a Gandharva king. And now again, he's become a Gandharva. So he also saw the Lord, right? So it's a benediction for him too. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Nedur dundu bhayo divya
Nedu dundu bhayo
Dundu
divya
Bhayo Divya
Gandharva nanritur jago
Gandharvanantutur
Jagu
Jago
Rishayash charana siddhas
Rishya
Rishaya
Charana
Charana
Siddhas
tushtuvu purushottamam.
Drishtuvuhu
Tustuhu
Purushottamam.
Purushottamam.
There was a beating of kettle drums in the heavenly planets. The inhabitants of Gandharvalok began to dance and sing, while great sages and the inhabitants of Charanalok and Siddhalok offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottam. So when the Lord comes, then all these great heavenly beings, they also come. They're getting an opportunity to see the Lord, to glorify the Lord, you know, to offer some service to the Lord. Yoso graha save sadhya.
Is it Shilpa ji? Like,
Mm,
why this is a beautiful moment when Lord comes? Because then otherwise they are not able to see. They are also in the material world and they are not able to see Lord Krishna, right?
that's
So
right.
that's why it's a big thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're seeing the Lord, they're seeing Him in action, enacting His
Hmm.
pastime. Otherwise, they're
Hmm.
not able to see Him.
So they
So
also
they're
rush.
also happy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So they're happy to see Him. They are happy to glorify Him. They are happy to, praise pastime, see the pastime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like a great celebrity comes, and so many people will go, okay,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
go
I was
see the
just I was
celebrity.
Hmm.
Oh, let me
Hmm.
see him
Hmm.
in action. Suppose
Hmm.
he's like a footballer. Oh, let me see him play.
Hmm.
Something like that. And then all the fans will be like, hey, so good. So
Yes.
the Lord, you know, He's the most
Yeah,
perfect
perfect.
being,
Yeah.
the greatest being. Yeah. Yoso
Yeah.
graha savai sadhya.
Yo graha save sadhya
Param Ascharya Rupadre
param
Para
ashcharya
Asharya
rupade
Rupatrik
Mukto Devala Shapena
mukto
Mukta
devala
Devila
shapena
Shapena
Huhur Gandharva Sattamaha
puhur gandharva
Sattam
sattamaha
Pranamya Shira Sadhi Sham
pranamay shirsa
Shadhina
adhinam
Uttama Shlokam Avyayam
uttama
Uttama
shlokam
Shloka
avyayam
Vyayam
Agayata Yashodhama
agayat
Agyato
yashodhama
Yashodhamam
Kirtanya Guna Satkatham.
Caitaniya
Gunoshat Katha.
The best of the Gandharvas, King Huhu, having been cursed by Devala Muni, had become a crocodile. Now, having been delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he assumed a very beautiful form as a Gandharva. Understanding by whose mercy this has happened, he immediately offered his respectful obeisances with his head and began chanting prayers just suitable for the Transcendental Lord, the Supreme Eternal, who is worshipped by the choicest verses. The story of how the Gandharva had become a crocodile will be described later. The curse by which the Gandharva took this position was actually a blessing, not a curse. One should not be displeased when a saintly person curses someone, for his curse indirectly is a blessing. The Gandharva had the mentality of an inhabitant of the celestial planetary system, and for him to become an associate of the Supreme Lord would have taken millions of long years. However, because he was cursed by Devala Rishi, he became a crocodile, and in only one life was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face and be promoted to the spiritual world to become one of the Lord's associates. Similarly, Gajendra was also delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he was freed from the curse of Agastya Muni. So the king Huhu, he's also now offering prayers to the Lord. He had become a crocodile by the curse of Devala Muni. Prabhupada is explaining that how the curse of saintly persons is actually not a curse or actually a blessing. Because otherwise, how would he have seen the Lord? Just in one life now, he's able to see the Lord, he's able to become an associate of the Lord. Otherwise, it would have taken him lifetimes and lifetimes, millions of long years. Which other, who other else was cursed, but actually became a blessing? Cursed by a saint and became a blessing actually for them. Remember?
Manigriv and Nalkuver.
Mhm. That's right. Yeah. Manigriva and Nalakovera. Sonu Kampita Ishena
Sonu Kampita Ishena
Parikramya Pranamyatam
Parikramya
Parikramya Pranamyatam.
Lokasya Pashyato Lokam
Lokas
Lokashyato
Pashyato
Pashato.
Lokam
Swam Agan Mukta Kilvishaha.
Swam Agan Mukta
Agamukta Kildishaha.
Having been favored by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and having regained his original form, King Huhu circumambulated the Lord and offered his obeisances. Then, in the presence of all the demigods, headed by Brahma, he returned to Gandharva Loka. He had been freed of all sinful reactions. He's seen the Lord. Now all his karma is finished. And yeah, of course, he's
But
now
Shilpa,
become the king again of Gandharvas. He's going back to
yeah.
Gandharva Loka. Yeah.
So
But he's
Shilpa
seen
ji,
the Lord.
then
Yeah.
so like is it like how the Dhruv Maharaj also went back to his own abode and he ruled the kingdom. So is
That's
it
right. Yeah.
it's the same way,
Uh,
right? Because
yeah,
he's
same.
not going to the spiritual,
Yeah,
but he's going to his own Gandharva lok, right?
that's right. Yeah, like same like
Okay.
Manigriv Nalakove.
Yeah.
So they also went
Hmm.
back to their heavenly kingdom, and they
Hmm.
lived there for however long they had to live. After that, they went to
Hmm.
the spiritual world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So Manigriv and Nalakove, they first went to their kingdom, and they became. After that, they went spiritual world. So same here. To King Huhu. So we can see actually the curse of these saints is so much of a blessing. Otherwise, how he would have seen the Lord himself? Gajendro
Hmm.
Bhagavad Sparshat
Gajendro Bhagavat Sparshat
Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat
Vimukto Ajnana Bandhanat
Prapto Bhagavato Rupam
Prapto Bhagavato Rupam
Pita Vashas Chaturbhujaha.
Pitavashaschaturbujaha.
Because Gajendra, king of the elephants, had been touched directly by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was immediately freed of all material ignorance and bondage. Thus, he received the salvation of Sarupya Mukti, in which he achieved the same bodily features as the Lord, being dressed in yellow garments and possessing 4 hands. If one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by having his gross body touched by the Lord, his body turns into a spiritual body and he can go back home, back to Godhead. Gajendra assumed a spiritual body when his body was touched by the Lord. Similarly, Dhruv Maharaj assumed his spiritual body in this way. Archana Paddhati, daily worship of the deity, provides an opportunity to touch the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus it enables one to be fortunate enough to get a spiritual body and go back to Godhead. So here Prabhupada is explaining here because Gajendra is touched by the Lord, so then Gajendra immediately gets Sarupya Mukti, just as uh, Dhruv Maharaj, his body became spiritual. So Prabhupada is explaining when one engages in deity worship, one can also get a spiritual body and go back home, back to Godhead. Not only by touching the body of the Supreme Lord, but simply by hearing about his pastimes, chanting his glories, touching his feet, and offering worship. In other words, by serving the Lord, somehow or other, one is purified of material contamination. This is the result of touching the Supreme Lord. One who is a pure devotee, Anyabilashita Shunya, who acts according to the Shastra and the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, certainly becomes purified. Like Gajendra, he assumes a spiritual body and returns home back to Godhead. So, because the Lord is all pure, so if anyone is touched by the Lord, he also becomes all pure. So Gajendra has become purified. He's gotten a spiritual body. Prabhupada is saying if anyone serves the Lord by worshipping him, worshipping his deity form, or by hearing about him, by chanting his glories, somehow the other serving him, one becomes also purified and one can go back home, back to Godhead. Just like, when we come in touch with dirt, we become dirty. Then we put water. Water is purifying, so we become clean. So with the water, it's only cleaning the external body. But what about our consciousness? When we are serving the Lord, our consciousness is becoming purified, just as the Lord is all pure. So by coming in touch with the Lord, we get purified. And we can also get a spiritual body and go back home, back to Godhead. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna, Shilpaji. Yeah, this is very, very true. But then there was this one more part I heard from Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. This is right what we are reading. But then he said that the faith, sometimes there was this story then he said on this that yes, like you hear, but then you're just hearing without faith. So then he said that there is this very
I'm
story
sorry,
that
your
like
voice
how
is
people,
getting low. Neha, I'm sorry, your
okay,
voice
just a,
became too low.
is it okay now? Is it
Yeah,
okay now? Can you hear me? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So he said that faith is equally important also. Like he gave this example of a story that like when there was this Shivji and Parvati ji, they came and they sat near they dig a hole and then Shivji went inside as a Brahmin and he fell down inside and then there was Parvati ji was a lady placed outside and then they said that okay, people who were coming out, taking bath from Ganga, they said that, oh, can you please pull me out? Please help me pull me out. Then they said that there's only one condition. If you have any sin, then you will die by touching me. Who said, then they were not sure because they came out of the Ganga and like they said, no, no, I'm not sure. Okay, I can't help you. I can't help you. So more than 100 or 200 refused to help because they were not assured, though they are coming out taking bath from Ganga. And as it is mentioned that if you come out of Ganga, when you all your sins are washed away. But they were not, they didn't had faith. So now then this one little boy who came out and he said that help me, can you help me? He said, yeah, I will help you, but there is this condition that if you touch me and if you have any sin, then you'll die. He said, no, I'm sure that there are no sins because see, I'm coming directly out of the bath from Ganga river and all my sins are washed away. And then he pulled out and then he said that, see, the faith is so important. So like in the same, in this way, that if I am serving Lord with faith, if I'm touching my deity with faith, that this is Krishna, he's always there for me no matter what, I just turn up to him. So I need to have that faith also with all these things, right?
Yes, very nice. Yes, very good. So serving the Lord with faith. Yes, very good, very important. So we have to strengthen our faith. Then the more we hear and chant, the more we will strengthen our faith. In the association of devotees, we associate with devotees who have faith. Hear and chant in the association of devotees so that we can also have strong faith in the words of the Supreme Lord. Yes, thank you so much. Any other comments, questions?
No, all good.
Okay, so we'll stop here for today.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.